So we're gonna do something different today. We're actually gonna go back to the beginning, like way back to the very beginning, and talk about how I used to sleep in my car when I was 19 years old. I don't really ever talk about this stuff. This is like super old news, but I think it'll be interesting because at that time I had no idea that everything was going to change. I had no idea I was going to build an empire. But what led up to that? Like, what were the steps that got me here? So let's talk about the beginning, shall we? So I was always hustling since I was very young. I was just kind of born with this entrepreneurial spirit. And when I was 18 years old, I started my first business, and then when I was 19, I started my second business. And both of these businesses were successful. They both made over $1 million in revenue. They're not related to what I do now. They're actually completely different. But if you want to learn more about them, I can do another video on that too. But essentially, I had two different businesses and I was working on them full time. I moved to California when I was 18 years old to pursue acting. That didn't work out, and then I ended up moving to Arizona, and then I decided to start my first business, which was a clothing brand, and then after that, I started a marketing agency. Both of these were very successful, but they required a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, especially the marketing agency. It was very hands-on. It still is, but I had to work on it every single day. It was kind of my baby. I created it from scratch. I worked so hard on it and it was just eating up all of my time. The clothing brand also required a lot of time and effort, and I remember feeling like I just didn't have enough time in the day. I felt like there wasn't enough time for me to grow both of these businesses to the level that I wanted them to be at. And I remember thinking like, why am I not making more money? Why am I still struggling? Because on the outside, it probably looked like I was doing pretty good. I mean, I was starting and growing these businesses, but inside I was feeling like just burnt out, frustrated, stressed out, overwhelmed, all these different things. And I was looking at everyone around me, and they all had really great jobs. They had like normal jobs, 9-to-5 jobs, and I was like, why can't I have something like that? Because I was working 7 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day, and I just felt miserable. And so I remember I quit my second business. It was my baby. I poured my heart and soul into it, and I quit. I just stopped working on it completely, and I went and got a normal job. I got a job at a bank. It was a 9-to-5 job. It was amazing. I was so happy. Finally, I had a normal job. I could go out with my friends. I could live a normal life. I could hang out with people, go on dates, and not have to worry about anything business related. But after about 2 weeks of having this job, I remember sitting at my desk and feeling miserable again. I was like, why am I here? This isn't right. This isn't where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be working for myself. I'm supposed to be building something. I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur. And so, after 2 weeks, I quit my job and I went back to working on my businesses full time. Now, after quitting my job, I didn't really have any money left because I had been living off of my savings for quite some time, and it takes a while to start making money when you first start a business. It's kind of like the beginning part is usually slow, and so I needed to make some money and I didn't have any money left, and so I remember I was driving around and I saw this sign that said housekeeping, cleaning houses, and I was like, well, I guess I could clean houses. And so I called up this number and I started cleaning houses. I was cleaning houses and doing housekeeping 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, and I was doing it all day, and so I would work on my businesses before and after. And whenever I had free time, I was working on those, but I was like, okay, I can do this. This is temporary. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to make it work because I really believed in my businesses and I knew that it was going to take a little bit of time before they started making money. And then one day I got a call from my manager at the bank where I used to work, and he offered me a position to come back and work there full time again, and it paid really well, and it was like a management position. It was a corporate job. It was a real job, and I remember I told him no. I said no because I just couldn't go back to working for someone else. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't work for someone else again. At least not at that point in my life. So I kept on cleaning houses and working on my businesses, and then I had this crazy idea. I was like, maybe I should try to rent out my car. So I started renting out my car on this website, which is a peer-to-peer car sharing platform. So I listed my car on there. I set the price. I forgot what it was, but it was like really cheap. I think I charged like $5 or something because I just wanted to start making some extra cash. And then I rented out my car to this couple who was flying into town and they needed a car, and they found my car on this website and they booked it and they rented it for like a week. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is easy. Like I can do this. This is awesome. Like why am I even cleaning houses? I can just rent out my car and I'll make money. And so I rented out my car a few times and then I realized like, hey, I can do this full time. I can build a business around this. And so I did. I built a business around it. I bought more cars and I grew this business and eventually it took off and it started making a lot of money and I was like, this is it. This is the thing that I've been looking for. I finally have a business that's making money. I finally have a business that's stable. It was so much different than anything I had done before because I could actually see the money coming in as soon as I put in the work. When I would put in the work for my other businesses, it was hard to see the results. It was hard to see the reward at the end of it. With this, it was so much easier. It was like as soon as I put in the work, I would see the reward immediately. So it was just so motivating. So I worked on that business and I grew it. I bought more cars, I hired employees and managers, and eventually I sold it, and now I'm working on different projects. So if you're going through something right now, just know that it won't last forever. Just keep pushing. Keep working hard, and eventually things will get better. You will get to where you want to be. You will accomplish your goals. You just have to stay focused, keep working hard, and never give up. And also, I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting me over the years. I couldn't have accomplished any of this without you guys. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, that's it. That's how I used to sleep in my car when I was 19 years old. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful or at least entertaining. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I post new videos every single week. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.